Welcome to Halloran's Garage. Thank you for joining us again. Hopefully you've enjoyed some of the content we've had before. If you do like what you have seen before, please like and subscribe.
Yes.
Also, if you have any comments or anything, go to our Gmail email there, and it's Halloran's Garage. That's with an S, HALLORANS, GARA.
GE
GE.
.com
.com.
at gmail.com. Sorry.
Gmail.com. That's right. We'll get it right one of these times. So
Halloran's Garage at gmail.com.
yes. We welcome any insights or criticisms or anything like that. We'll try to respond to everything. Questions, comments, anything like that.
We'll accept it.
Yep. Today we would like to talk about car care and some things that we've been involved with. Doesn't have to be for racing cars, doesn't have to be for autocross cars, although all this goes together. It could be your classic, it could be your daily driver, it could be your track car or your autocross car or your touring car or whatever in the world.
Or your daily driver.
Yes, all these things are important to pay attention to some of these things. I'm sure we'll miss some things. Please add in if you do have something that you'd like us to add. We maybe could do another one in the future. But first off, in a car, obviously, without oil in the engine, in an internal combustion engine, you need oil filter changed regularly. You'd like to probably get a good quality oil filter, one that gets into small microns, if at all possible. There are some good ones out there. AC Delco makes a good one. There's MAN, and there's Bosch and Mobile One, and some other ones that are pretty good high quality filters. I'm sure there's others, but those are just some that jump to mind right now. And again, good quality fluid, and so that's some of the things that you want to pay attention to when you're doing that.
Right. And you want to use, like Sean was saying, a good quality, preferably a synthetic motor oil. And we've noticed here lately, I've had a couple company cars, and for some reason the United States is the only place that does this for the same motors. We're using zero weight oil, which is supposed to be good for fuel economy. But it's, I don't
Zero
know.
W8, zero W16, and zero W20. Probably, unless you don't care how long the engine lasts, I probably wouldn't be using them on a regular basis. You might suffer slightly in fuel mileage, but I think I'd rather have the longevity.
The only time I would even think about the 0, 16, and 20 for my own personal vehicle would be if I was living in Alaska or something where it was really cold all the time.
Right, yeah.
Otherwise, I don't think I'd do it. Yeah. Here recently, my new company car, I took it in. They said, is this 016 or 08? And I was like, what? It's bad enough as 016. So I was asking if they could put it to 520, but they said that they wouldn't do it. The company wouldn't allow them to do it. So anyway.
But probably if you stick by kind of a rule of at least yearly, if you have a classic car, at least yearly change that oil. It does kind of, it'll get moisture in the crankcase and things like that. You really don't want that left in the engine for long periods of time. If the car does a lot of sitting, it is best if they will get out and run around and get up to full operating temperature, at least like 5 or 10 miles. If you're driving and things like that. But general rule, if you're going to use mineral-based oil, probably change every 3,000 interval. If it's a synthetic, 5,000 probably is really a good thing. But I know some people that have run 10,000 and had zero trouble.
So. Well, I mean, if you're doing a lot of highway driving and stuff, and if it's a good oil and a good filter, you're probably all right at 10,000. Right. Otherwise, if you're doing a lot of city driving and starting and stopping, and now that these cars, a lot of them have had the start-stop feature, that's another issue entirely. But you just want to make sure it's got good lubrication all the time, good clean oil all the time, and the best way is to keep the oil changed regularly and the filter changed regularly too. So.
And in that same vein, you're putting oil into the crankcase. fuels is another thing. A lot of people will buy the cheapest fuel they can buy.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay if you're after just cheap fuel, but it does nothing. It's usually inexpensive because there are no detergents added to it.
Right.
And these detergents are good for keeping the fuel system clean, keeping the injectors cleaned out and all that, helping keep carbon deposits and things like that from introducing themselves on the back of your valves and on top of your pistons. And again, the top tier fuels are generally what I go after. Yeah. The grade, if you're running 87 or if you're running 89 or 91 or 93, depending on where you are in the country or in the world, I should say, always try to go after something that is good quality. And I think you'll save yourself a lot of aggravation there. So,
I mean, using cheap fuel, you can end up with all kinds of headaches. I mean, there's some other YouTube videos out there that have talked about the cheaper fuels and the dangers and the damage that can happen.
Well, with alcohol in the fuel now too,
Yeah.
If you've got a classic or whatever, and it never was intended to have alcohol in the fuel,
Yeah.
that stuff can break down really quick.
Well, and the alcohol, I mean, in the carburetors, it really just it makes a mess of them. I mean, I've had a friend that his car wasn't running right, and he took the carburetors apart and had all this white glumps of stuff in there. And I guess it's where somehow or another the alcohol has attacked the metal or something in there, and it's a mess. Yeah. And that ends up clogging your jets and everything. Your car's not going to run right, and you don't want that.
Yeah.
It's hard to find 100% fuel, but you can do it. It's more expensive.
Yeah.
But it's worth it in the long run.
Well, if you've got a muscle car or something, it probably wouldn't hurt to find some place that maybe has 5 gallons of like a 93 octane unleaded racing fuel would even be fine. So, make sure that if you've got a car that does sit a lot, make sure that fluid is getting switched out of the gas tank frequently if you're not running it out. And if you do track or whatever, and some of these tracks do have racing
fuel that is unleaded, but it's not. It has no alcohol in it. So
right. The other part of the drive line, aside from the engine, is your transmission and your differential. A lot of people, if you've got an automatic, they tend to run. Some people, for whatever reason, think that you should always run an automatic transmission for the life of the car, never changing the fluid or the filter. I don't subscribe to that. I don't think fluid lasts forever. I don't think you let the genie out of the bottle if you take it out. I think it's good to switch that stuff out. Now, usually when you're doing that, you're not going to get it out of the torque converter and things like that. Probably not going to get it fully out of transmission coolers and things like that. But again, on something like this, when you do change it, change with good quality fluid. Don't skimp on that. Put a good quality filter in it.
Right.
Preferably a factory type filter or a good high quality aftermarket one would be good. And a manual transmission, that's also needing attention as well. A lot of the manuals, the new ones, like if you run a Tremec 6060 or something like that, 6-speed, they run an automatic transmission in it actually, but I usually run a synthetic in that as well. Synthetics, we're big proponents of synthetic oils and things like that. So, run a good quality transmission fluid in that. And keep that swapped out. I would probably do that once a year as well. So on the differential, if you've got just a rear drive, obviously you could have a limited slip in the back. Make sure that if it does, that you're either adding the additive or buying a fluid that has the additive already added in it.
Right.
A lot of these have that additive in it.
Friction modifier,
Mobil 1 or something like that. Friction modifier keeps some of the chatter down and things like that. And but it is a good fluid to switch as well at that time. If you have a front differential, the same thing for that. Swap that out as well. So a good time to look everything over. Rinse out the housing a little bit. You'll find some stuff in the bottom generally and things like that. Usually, hopefully not metal chunks or anything like that, because then you've got a bigger issue. But,
you got another problem. I mean, that's the time to be addressing whatever that issue is, whether it's bearings or whatever.
Right. Another part on the engine is power steering. Now, a lot of new vehicles have an electric power steering. You probably won't have to ever worry about this, but a lot of the old cars with hydraulic power steering, they've got the pump, they got the reservoir and all that. Those are a little harder to get all the fluid out of them unless you take the lines loose and really do a big flush out. I found that just by taking a siphon and pulling that fluid out, you can get a lot of it out of there and circulating through. And if you do it once a year, honestly, it'll really start to keep up on that really well. A lot of people use automatic transmission fluid. Some cars say they require it, but I would rather just have power steering fluid. And generally, if I can, it'll be, again, a synthetic fluid. So, but you've got your cooler in there, you've got your pump. You want to check out the pulley and the condition of everything and the hoses and things like that. And, replace stuff as you see it. If it's a bad hose or something there that's already leaking, see about either getting the hose repaired or replaced. So, yeah.
Well, and your belts. So
belts, absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, new serpentine belts seem to do much better than the older V-groove belts, but they all do need attention, and sooner or later you'll start to look at the serpentine belts, and where they've got all the little ribs in them, you'll start to see cracks in it, and it's like, okay, it's time to replace it. So,
yeah, and if you have a question, you can a lot of times take them loose and flip them upside down, and then spread it, backwards, and then you can see whether they've got a lot of cracks and things in those there. So, that's a good way to look. And while you're in there with that, of course, check out the water pump, because generally it's powering the water pump, but also look at the pulleys and the tensioners and things like that. And if, you've got them 10 years or so, if you're not having any trouble with them, it probably isn't even a bad idea to go ahead and change those at that time. But leave that up to you. But that is a potential thing that you might want to look at.
Well, the other thing is, you bring up the water pump. I mean, another thing to address is your coolant. Keep that changed. Make sure that you're using the proper fluid. I mean, there's specific ones for specific vehicles. There's
Dexcool, and there's the European, and there's
I mean, it used to be there was just green, and then there was green, and there's orange. Now there's green, orange, purple, pink. I mean, and all of them are for different types of vehicles. So
stick with it.
Stick with it. Don't mix them. Definitely don't mix them. But I mean, the only way I would mix it if it was a dire emergency, as I was out somewhere and I had to get back alive. But I would immediately get it changed completely out, flush it all out, replace it, because you may end up doing damage to, some of this stuff does not like certain metals and or plastics even, because the cooling system, a lot of it is plastic now. So
absolutely.
So you got to keep aware of that and don't let anything happen.
Well, and if you are buying, nothing but the antifreeze or whatever, and with the intent to add water to it, make sure you use distilled water, because the minerals that can be in some waters can attack some of the components inside the cooling system there and cause you problems as well. One of the things you probably want to look at also, or consider anyway, the thermostat could be, that you got some miles on it, or it's fairly old. You might want to think about changing that at that time. But if nothing else, at least pull it out of there, give it a look. If you want to, put it in boiling water to make sure as to when it's opening and closing, things like that. So, kind of keep you out of trouble on that. And again, using a good quality fluid, we cannot stress that enough.
Now, I haven't tried it yet, but there is a waterless coolant. There's a company named Evans that makes it. It's an expensive fluid, but apparently it may be the only coolant that might be lifetime. There is no water, so you end up with no pressure. The boiling point is way up in the 300s, I believe, 350 or somewhere up there, and I think its freezing point's like -40. I'm considering it for a couple of my vehicles, just to see. I'm going to give it a try. Now, Jay Leno has used it, and he recommends it. I'm going to give it a shot, see what happens. I got a friend that doesn't like the idea of it, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway.
Well, and while you're in there, there's you again check out all your hoses, look at the hoses, and make sure everything's in good condition. If the hoses have some swelling to them or whatever, go ahead and change that thing. I mean, you don't want that laying down on the side of the road. That's really no fun at all. They can burst, particularly if you've got some age on them. We've been talking about Kevin's Porsche there needing its hoses changed, and so we're going to probably get into that at some point. And but look at all those things and look them over. They can really save you a lot of aggravation and expense on the side of the road.
And if you can see the water pump, I don't know if you even know what antifreeze smells like, but if you start to smell something, you might start to inspect it and look at it and see. But you might look at the shaft of the water pump. It might be leaking. The seal might be bad. And if that's so, you're going to have to put a new water pump in, or have somebody rebuild the water pump, put a new seal in it.
And there are usually telltale signs. You'll see where coolant has been leaking out of a spot. And
and you can look at your coolant bottle and you'll see it.
Right. If it's
the
low.
level of it's lower. You probably got a good indication you got a leak somewhere. Not necessarily, but more than likely.
Yep.
I mean, it could have gotten really hot and actually run out, and then when it cooled back down, it went down below the fill line.
Right.
But if it did that, then maybe the thermostat's bad. So
Right.
maybe it's keeping shut too long, and it was starting to overheat. So
Absolutely.
you don't want to have that happen. You end up with you overheat your motor. You may end up with a lot of these motors
Popping a head gasket or
blowing head gasket, and a lot of these motors now have aluminum heads. I mean, you warp a head,
damage a water pump.
Do all kinds of
things.
Yeah. So just things to be considered there for the cooling system.
One of my favorite subjects is brake fluid, and almost nobody changes this on a regular basis, but man, it can be so overlooked, and you don't really realize how much your pedal has actually lost its feel until you actually swap it out, and then you go, wow, that pedal really feels good all of a sudden.
Yeah, also, it's like, it was a lot softer than that before.
Yeah, it feels all of a sudden really good.
It's really hard.
Well, with brake fluid, of course, it's hydroscopic, and the boiling point on, I think, regular brake fluid is about 384, I believe it, or 284, maybe it's 284.
Yeah.
Anyway, I should have looked that up first, but swapping that stuff out, you'll be amazed the stuff that does come out when you bleed out the system. You don't have to tear everything down. You don't have to take hoses off unless they need replaced. But just do a nice fluid swap where you pull everything out of the reservoir, and immediately put in some new stuff back in on top of it. And then as you bleed it out, you'll be again surprised how much stuff you actually see that comes out of each bleed, whether it's on a caliper or whether it's on a brake cylinder or something like that. You'd be surprised the stuff that does come out of this stuff. But with it being able to attract the moisture or whatever, it just slowly starts to contaminate it. You start to lose the ability to slow down a hill quickly or anything like that. We're not talking necessarily about competition cars or anything like that. It can be a daily driver. Again, it could be your classic that does a lot of sitting. Pay attention to that fluid. It really, really is important.
When some of the older classics, you might even think about going to a .5 silicon fluid.
Yeah.
That doesn't attract moisture.
Yeah. Has pros and cons.
It's got good points and bad points. But I have used it before, and I used it in my Firebird at one point. I'm not right now, but it had actually helped out, I think, where it didn't get driven every day. So,
but if you have a daily driver, they do have some synthetic brake fluid out there that we found that we like it real well. The Prestone makes a .4 brake fluid. I think the boiling point was up close to 500, wasn't it? I think
I'm not sure if the bottle I have across the room here is it or not, but
regardless, a good fresh bottle of it. Do not use stuff that's been sitting on the shelf for 15 years. You're going to regret that. Do not use that. Just buy a fresh bottle, open it up. If you think you might use it again in a few months, go ahead and date the outside when you opened it.
Right.
Write it on with a Sharpie or whatever when you open that bottle up or whatever. If it's not a critical spot like on a clutch or something, you might be able to use something that has a little bit of age. I probably wouldn't exceed a year though. As long as it stayed tightly sealed up and things like that. So, if you're running your street car or classic, again, a good brake fluid. If you're running a autocross car or a track car or something like that, there are some other higher boiling point. The Motul 660 or 600 for the track, and some of the other ones that are out there. There are some really good ones out there that you can really take the heat, and really, again, critical. And you can identify braking problems with your car if you're hitting the pedal and the pedal is not really going down or anything, but the car isn't slowing down. That's a problem with the pads. If it's exactly opposite of that, if it's starting to go down and this car's still not slowing down, you've probably started to boil the fluid.
Yeah.
And so there's that problem as well. So, again, that's something to look at. Look at all your hoses, look at the condition of the pistons and things like that. If you can, take brake clean all that stuff up, get all the dust and things out of it. You'd be surprised how much stuff
Well,
is
and if you, even just with your daily driver, if you're starting to hear squeaking and grinding, you might want to have, if you don't know what you're looking at, take it to a shop and have them look at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of times that's the wear sensor on the pad that's dragging across the rotor, and it says, "Hey guys, it's time to
pay attention.
Time to check us out because we're running out of pad here."
We're giving you all the indicators.
Yeah,
If you choose not to decide now, then you've got a problem.
And if you start to hear grinding, there's a good chance you've lost all the brake pad material, and now it's just the backing plate that's up against the.
And metal to metal isn't good.
I mean, I've seen where cars have been in shops and rotors are. The whole one side of the rotor is gone, and all you see is the veins on the back side. It's like, whoa.
Yeah. That's frightening. You missed all kinds of things at that point.
Yeah, so. You've missed a whole bunch.
Yeah,
and we've had a couple Volkswagen Jettas in the past that used to go through rear brakes something awful, and I found out somebody told me that it was because of the stability control. I always turn the stability control off, but that's because of my experience with driving. So I really didn't feel like I needed that nanny, but the rear brakes on those cars seem to last about half the time as the front brakes. And, 40,000 miles, I'd have to put rear brakes on. I'd be up to 80 before I put front ones on. It's something to keep a watch on, listen to, and what have you. Talking about the brake fluid, and Sean mentioned clutch as well. I'm not sure how many cars actually use hydraulic clutches anymore, or currently now.
Older cars were all mechanical pretty much, but
like a lot of the GM cars and Fords now have hydraulics. Now we've noticed that somehow or another the clutch dust gets into the slave cylinder on the clutch, and it gets into the system, and you got to keep that stuff cleaned out. Best thing is if you can get a bleeder hose on the slave cylinder end of it so that you can actually bleed it on out. But if you can't,
suck out all you can. We've actually, a friend of ours helped us rig up a little setup to where we can actually stick a little teeny microscopic little line all the way down, and it probably gets darn close down to to actually where the slave cylinder is,
master cylinder,
and you can suck that right out of there and pull all the dirt and everything out, and then refill it with new fluid, and off you go. And again, it's one of those things that you don't realize has actually gone away. Maybe you're even dragging gears when you're shifting gears, it's dragging slightly. Well, you swap the fluid, and a lot of times you'll go, wow, it's not even doing that anymore. It's shifting smoother now. Yeah. It's doing all these things. The clutch pedal just feels better. It's, again, one of those crazy things.
The fluid's broken down.
Yeah.
And it's, there with the clutch, you're getting a lot of heat there too. You want to make sure that that clutch is working properly. Now, I had actually a master cylinder go out on a car of mine, on my Corvette, at 12,000 miles. And when I opened up the master cylinder, that stuff looked like espresso coffee. It was black.
Yeah. It's amazing how that.
It was awful. I haven't seen used diesel motor oil that dirty.
Right.
It was awful. And I put the new master cylinder in it. It worked just fine. And from that point on, I just, after so many. If I take it for a drive or something, or I take it to an autocross or different things, take it on a trip, I'll use a little siphon and suck all the stuff out of it and refill it with some new fresh fluid. It says .3, I think, on the top of it, but I use the .4. It doesn't hurt anything for the .4 to be used in it.
The next subject we want to talk about was tires, and that is another one that is often overlooked. A lot of people will say, well, I got plenty of tread on my tires, and they look okay. They're not dry rotted, maybe not. They have plenty of tread, but you need to look at the date code, and the date code usually is in an oval spot somewhere, usually near the bead. It will generally have the the week listed, it could be 1 through 52, of course, for the what week in the year it is. But then it'll have, in the case of a picture he has here, it's 2616, be the 26th week of 2016. So that tire clearly would be at the end of its life at 10 years now.
Yeah.
You would want to get those off of your car, particularly if you're going to travel. If you're going to drive down to the store and back, you could probably get away with it, but I wouldn't be traveling at 75 miles an hour on the interstate in that tire anymore.
No,
you would be beyond its service life at that point.
And that's listed. The date code is actually listed as the DOT number,
Right.
And it has some letters after it, and then this 4-digit number.
Yeah. Again, it's the week of the year with the year. And
Right.
it'll show the 26th in this case,
The
and
16. Yeah, this one says 26th week of 16. That's, we actually had a friend in our Porsche club. We were on a drive, and he said he got scared because his car started to get away from him, and
kind of squirrely.
I said, what's wrong? I said,
Tire pressures and
tire pressure, everything okay? He said, oh yeah. He said, everything's fine. He said,
nothing's dry rotted. Got
he
plenty
said,
of tread.
I got plenty of tread, not dry rotted. I said, how old are the tires? So I don't know. I put them on 17. I'm like, and this was only a year or two ago. I'm like, I'd say it's time to put new tires on that car. And he had, I can't remember if they were Pirellis or Continentals on there at the time. And he asked me what I recommend. Now, I'm a big proponent of Michelin and BF Goodrich. Just make sure you got a good
quality tire.
Good quality tire. Don't buy a Chinese junk tire. I mean, especially if you're doing.
It's okay on your cart to move your wheel bear around, but probably
maybe,
not on your car.
Yeah, but if you're going very fast, and in our situation, where lots of mountains and hills and curves, you want to have a good tire underneath you. But he actually put some new Michelin's, I think some PS2s on his car. It was on a Turbo 911, and he's like, "Oh my God!" He said, "It's like it's on rails now." He said, "I could not believe." He said, "I'll never do that again."
Yeah.
He said, "I said, 4 or 5 years is about the life of. I mean, the tires age out usually before they wear out.
Right.
In most of these cars, because you don't drive them enough. Now, if you drove it every day, I mean,
you're going to just naturally wear them out within 3 or 4 years, likely. And but make sure the condition of the tire. Look for dry rot. Look for the sun just kills them, and then the tread pattern. And a lot of times they'll start to split in the tread also. That means the tire carcass on the outside is literally starting to come off of the main carcass, and that's going to cause all kinds of problems. You're going to fling a carcass off, and it's going to destroy everything in the wheel well. And hopefully you don't have coolers and radiators in your wheel wells and things like that.
And when you're looking at your tires, when you're checking your air pressure, look at the sidewall. Sometimes you might see either a blister, a bump in the side of the tire, or you might see a divot in the side of the tire. That could mean that you've got a belt coming apart inside the tire. Maybe you've hit a pothole or a curb, and you've damaged that tire, and and all of a sudden you start to feel that the car feels like the tires are out of balance. You're shaking and stuff, and I actually. I don't know how many years, what was it, about 15 years ago or whatever, put new tires on the truck. We went to Daytona, and it was shaking like crazy. I'm like, what's going on? Well, apparently that manufacturer had a recall on a certain DOT code. And
you're still in that window.
I mean, the tires were brand new, but they apparently had a problem in manufacturing. And they replaced the tires for free, but all the way down to Daytona and back, I mean, the truck was shaking. I was just like, what is wrong with this thing? I mean, we checked the lug nuts and the air pressures and everything, and alignment. Ended up it was the tires were bad. I mean, I found this out after I checked everything else, but that there was a recall, but I just put them on not long before we took off. So
Again, in something like this, look at the quality of tire. Don't, I know people, are on budgets and things like that, but try to buy as good a quality tire as you possibly can. Pay attention to tire pressures. I know a lot of cars have tire pressure sensors and things like that. Very helpful, obviously, to keep an eye on that thing. But you can usually, if you know your car, you can kind of walk around it and go, yeah, that tire looks a little bit low there. Even if you don't have it, but periodically check it. Once a month doesn't hurt a thing. A lot of these places you can go to, they've got the little either the pay pump or whatever, where you can stick a quarter in or whatever, and just double check all your tires. Doesn't hurt a thing.
And even at that, like Sheets, theirs is free.
Yeah, right.
But carry a good tire gauge with you, and don't necessarily trust what the computer's telling you on the dashboard. Some cars tell you what the pressure is. That's fine. It may or may not be right. I've gone to some of these when I've been on the road and had to put air in the tire. You set it to 36 pounds. Well, I've actually set it to 36. It might put 48 in there. And so make sure that you're not under or overfilling that tire. That can be a problem. And if you are running for a long time with that tire low, you're starting to put, some of the shops have called it run on. You're starting to damage the sidewall of the tire.
Yeah. If it's wearing on the inside, you've got your tread width like that. If it's wearing more on the inside, you probably have it overinflated. If it's wearing on the outsides, either you have bad alignment, or if it's on both sides, obviously you probably have underinflation on it. And that brings up the other part. The tires are the only things that make contact with the road. Paying attention to your contact patch of the tire. How it's, again, we're talking about high or low pressure there or whatever. Always check that stuff out, but make sure you get a good alignment. Check out the tires. Is it wearing more in the front? Or on the outside? Is it wearing more on the inside or outside? Is if you've got independent rear suspension, is it doing the same on the back? You can have a lot of that stuff adjusted out, or it could be another problem. Could have something worn out, bushing's gone bad or something like that. Tie rod end or ball joint or anything like that can also be a problem. Shocks, obviously. And again, when you're having to replace any of this stuff, always buy good quality stuff. Don't skimp on that stuff. It can leave you absolutely stranded on the side of the road.
Well, and you
or worse.
You want to try to. You hope that your tires wear evenly all the way across. You might see, like Sean said, about the outside edges wearing, the center of it might be wearing out. You might see cupping, these old scallops in the outer edge of the tread. Looks almost like a saw blade, where it's doing something funny with the alignment, or maybe a worn, like Sean said, a worn ball joint or worn tie rod end or something, or shocks or something.
Yeah, if it's not controlling the tire, as it's rolling down the road. Once that thing starts to bounce, the oscillation of it will just keep going, and you might not notice it inside. But if you've got 50,000 miles on your car, you want to definitely start looking at look at your shocks, look at the tire runners, look at the ball joints, look at all the steering components and all the rear suspension components. That stuff really does wear out. The other side on the tires that I failed to mention, if you have a classic car that sits a lot, the tires can get flat spotted from sitting so long. You can get a spot on it. You can drive it down the road and it's just shaking. You're going, what in the heck is going on here? Well, it's sat too long. Now they do make things. I think some of these different companies make them where it's a little thing that you can drive into in your garage or wherever you're storing, and will help keep the bottom of the tire more rounded. And great thing to do. Great thing to do.
Mm-hmm. So, I've actually got some here in the garage myself. So keep the tires more round. So we don't get so much of that thumping on the initial drive down the road where they're cold and they got a flat spot in them. Let's see here.
One of the other things we wanted to talk about is taking care of the outside of the car and the underside and the interior. There's all kinds of things here. Washing a car is just that's one of those things you just need to do. You try to get all the dirt out of cracks and crevices. If you have a lot of trim work, or if you have lots of places to catch dirt, pickup trucks are horrible about it. They always catch dirt up on top of the rear fender arch on the bed. Sometimes it sounds crazy. Take the tail light out, rinse that back section out above the wheel arch. You'll keep that wheel arch on that truck a lot longer.
Or get up under there, and just take your hose and spray up under there. I mean, there's different ways to go about it.
But really get under there and rinse it off, particularly after a bad winter. Get under there, rinse everything off. If you got something, Kevin has a high pressure thing that goes up underneath and can blast from underneath. He also has a thing in case of a truck or something, you can hook to the frame and blow the frame out. If it's a box frame or if it's just a C-channel frame, a lot of times you can get a lot of debris out of those things. And it just helps the overall condition of the vehicle.
Get the dirt, salt, mud, everything out of there.
Out of it. Yeah. Open the doors up. If it's just a 2-door, open up the front doors and aim toward the front fender well. Obviously trying to keep the water out of the inside of the vehicle, but you'll be surprised the dirt that accumulates up under that stuff. And again, up under the hood, get under the hood. A lot of cars anymore can handle a little bit of water being splashed on them. Don't drive directly at ignition coils and distributors and things like that. You're just asking
components.
You're just asking to stuff that stuff in there. But you can generally go over it and lightly spray it, and you're rinsing all this junk out. Look at the wheel wells. If it's got inner fender wells on the inside there, when you raise the hood, go back into the backs and into the fronts, where you can get to rinsing that stuff out and get it all rinsed out. Use good quality soap on the exterior of it. Try to wax the thing periodically. Pay attention to the glass. Use glass cleaner. Get the grease off of it.
Yeah.
Take the wiper blades. Flip the wiper blade open. Wash the wiper blade off.
Yeah.
I get 2 or 3 years out of wiper blades.
All kinds of dirt and debris gets on there, and then they start to break down from the sun and the oxidation outside. Take care of your wiper blades.
And pick your wiper blade up and wipe it off. You'll go, good grief, there's a lot of stuff.
Well, they actually will. I've actually had some of these old alcohol wipes that are intended just for that, just to wipe them off.
Perfect.
Keep them clean.
Yeah.
And that will keep your streaking down. And now, like Sean says, clean the inside, clean the outside of the glass. It's amazing how much gook appears on the inside of the glass.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And I've never understood why.
Yeah. Well, if you've got drains in the doors and things like that, make sure that stuff is clear. And if you park near trees and things like that a lot, that stuff will jam in and it'll get past the door felt and all that. And try to get that stuff rinsed out. If it's got drains that have a little rubber plug or something, pull it loose temporarily. Rinse all that stuff out. It'll save the door. It keeps keeps stuff from being able to accumulate in there, the more moisture you keep against the body. If you say you've got a tray of mud down in the bottom, it's gonna dry up in like weeks instead of a day or something.
Right.
So try to do that. Again, the undercarriage. If you've got the rear wheel arches or front wheel arches, rinse up in there. Go up over the top of the tire. Rinse it all over the suspension components and things like that. Rinse all that stuff off. If you can, pull the wheels off. Scrub that stuff out. I mean, I do that too.
Well, and when I'm washing, I've got this brush inside the wheel, the back side of the wheel. Keep the trash off the back side of the wheel. Keep the balance of the wheel proper.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And then I'll even take the hose and I'll spray at the brake rotor, and usually the backing plate of the brake rotor, and wash all the gook out from behind there. You'll be amazed how much of this brake dust comes out there, and road dust and dirt, and
not just from being on the track.
No, just from daily driving. And you've got we want, when you're washing your car, don't use laundry detergent or dishwashing soap. Now, unless you're wanting to strip all the wax off of it, if you're wanting to strip it all down, then okay, use like Dawn dishwashing. Clean it real good, and then you're gonna have to go back in. I mean, after you do that, maybe you want to get some detailing spray in the clay bar and start detail the whole thing.
Absolutely.
And then put a nice wax on it.
Yeah. Do the door jams, clean all them out. Clean you open the door up and clean all that up underneath. Check all the rubber seals and things like that. You can wipe them clean. You can take pure silicone and wipe back over them. It keeps them really supple for a lot longer and things like
Well,
that.
and there's some companies that make products particular for the door seals and the window seals and what have you.
Like griots and some of these other ones.
Griots, yeah. And then some of these guys make this stuff that is good for that. And like Sean says, open the doors, wash all around. Take a soapy rag and you wipe down around the door sill and everything. One, it keeps the seals good, and two, as you're getting in and out of the car, your pants or your dress or something, you're not going to get dirt all over you. I mean, that keeps
so much cooler when you open it up and it's nice and clean.
Oh yeah, it looks like the rest of the car.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
nice.
kind of like, wow, that's really cool.
Wow,
So,
that's really clean,
you can
man.
impress people that way. So
Yeah. And as Sean was saying about cleaning, I mean, I've been keeping my motor clean for years. I mean, it's kind of hard on the Boxster, but I have gotten under the hood and I used to use gunk motor cleaner and spray the outside of it and let it soak a little bit, and I'd take the hose and wash it off. And
so much easier to work on them.
oh yeah, when it's nice and clean.
You're doing any kind of maintenance.
And you know what? If you've got a leak or something,
it
usually is easier to find.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've got an oil leak, all of a sudden it's like, well, there's oil there, or the oil is catching dirt from the road dirt. So this is stuff that you might be able to see more,
Fix it before it's a big problem.
Yeah. And and haven't really talked about the exhaust system or anything, but there's issues with the exhaust systems on these cars. And
new vehicles have stainless exhaust, which is awfully nice. Old cars tended to have either a galvanized, it didn't seem to last very long, or
galvanized or aluminized metal of some sort or something.
And it was better than just straight steel, but but pay attention to all that. Look at all your clamps and the hangers. If a rubber hanger breaks on that, the thing will sag to one side and it'll bounce as it's going down the road. And eventually it's going to take something else out and you're going to lose the exhaust system. So, and some of them can be darn costly, But anyway. But we wanted to kind of bring a few of these things up, and we'll, hopefully some of these things that we've said are helpful to you, and you can get some ideas as to, things that maybe you are doing or not doing. Offer suggestions. We'll take that too. We'll, if you've got something else that we should have said, obviously add it back to us. We'd love for you to like and subscribe our channel if you would, please, and it does help us out. And we are Halloran's Garage at gmail.com if you'd like to make a comment to us. And we'd love to hear your comments. And again, thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, and again, remember to keep it between the mayo and the mustard, or you might end up catching it.